Seizure disorders in children. This video contains definition of seizure, seizure types, etiology, febrile convulsion, epilepsies of childhood, epilepsy syndromes, and status epilepticus. What do you mean by a seizure? Seizure originated from the Latin word "saccare", which means to take possession of. The meaning of the term seizure: a transient occurrence of signs and symptoms resulting from abnormal, excessive, or synchronous neuronal activity in the brain. A seizure is nothing but a transient event or a transient occurrence of signs and symptoms. It results from abnormal, excessive, synchronous neuronal activity inside the brain of a person. Coming to the term epilepsy, seizure and epilepsy are not the same. Epilepsy is a disorder, whereas seizure is an event or an occurrence. The disorder epilepsy is characterized by 2 or more unprovoked seizures occurring more than 24 hours apart beyond the neonatal period. Epilepsy is a disorder and it is characterized by occurrence of 2 or more seizures occurring more than 24 hours apart. If the seizures occurs more than 24 hours apart during the neonatal period, it is not considered as epilepsy. But after the neonatal period, that is after 28 days of life, if 2 seizures occurs with 24 hours interval, that is called epilepsy. To summarize, seizure is just an event. Epilepsy is a disease or disorder associated with the spontaneously recurrent seizures. A group of seizures is called epilepsy. A single event is called a seizure. We can classify seizures into epileptic seizures and non-epileptic seizures. Coming to the etiology of seizures, 70 to 80% of cases are idiopathic or unknown. Then these cases are presumed to be genetic. Coming to secondary causes of seizures, it can be cerebral malformation, cerebrovascular occlusion, cerebral damage, which include congenital infection, hypoischemic injury, etc. In this image, you can see various types of cerebral malformation. Other causes of secondary seizures include cerebral tumor, neurodegenerative diseases. That is, this is the image of healthy brain. This is the image of severe Alzheimer's disease into which the brain got atrophied. Then there are certain neurocutaneous syndromes that can result in seizure, namely neurofibromatosis and tuberous sclerosis. This is an example of neurofibroma. Coming to causes of non-epileptic seizures. It can be febrile seizure, which is associated with a high fever. There can be metabolic reasons like hypoglycemia, hypocalcemia, hypomagnesemia, hypo or hypernatremia. Non-epileptic seizures can result from head injury or head trauma, meningitis or encephalitis, poisons or toxins. Coming to one type of seizure, that is febrile convulsion, which is non-epileptic in origin. Coming to definition of febrile convulsion or febrile seizure. Another synonym for seizure is convulsion. A seizure accompanied by a fever in the absence of intracranial infection like bacterial meningitis or viral encephalitis. A seizure or convulsion purely resulting from fever, and in these cases any type of intracranial infection is absent. Such a seizure is called a febrile convulsion. About incidence, it affects 3% of children. There may be positive family history in 10 to 25% of febrile convulsion. There can be autosomal dominant inheritance if there is positive family history. Then recurrent febrile seizures can occur in 30 to 40% of cases. If a child has febrile convulsion once, then it can recur with high fever in 30 to 40% of cases. Boys are affected more than girls. About the diagnostic criteria of febrile convulsion. It is commonly found in children between 6 months to 60 months, that is up to 5 years. The peak age is 14 to 24 months. In these cases, the temperature will be greater than 30 degrees Celsius with a rapidly rising temperature within 24 hours onset of fever. The temperature will be more than 38 degrees Celsius and the seizure can occur within 24 hours of onset of fever. Then the febrile convulsion should not or it will not last longer than 10 minutes. It will be generalized, not focal. We will see later what is the difference between generalized seizure and focal seizure in this video. Then there will be no residual weakness of a limb or disability except a brief period of drowsiness. Following the seizure, there will be no weakness or disability of the limb, but there can be a brief period of drowsiness. Then there will be no evidence of CNS infection as we have seen in the definition like meningitis, encephalitis, brain abscess, etc. There can be extracranial infection, mostly upper respiratory tract infection, tonsillitis, otitis media, UTI, etc. Otherwise, we can say extracranial infection can cause febrile convulsion, not intracranial infection. There will be no history of previous febrile seizure and no acute systemic metabolic abnormality can be seen. The metabolic profile will be completely normal in children with a pure febrile convulsion. Then there are two types of febrile seizure, simple febrile seizure and complex febrile seizure. We will see some of the differences between these two which is important for your examination as differentiate between. About simple febrile seizure, it is most common. Complex febrile seizure remains rare or it is uncommon. Simple febrile convulsion lasts less than 15 minutes whereas complex one lasts more than 15 minutes. Then in simple febrile convulsion, one fit or convulsion occurs only with one episode of illness. It will not recur again. Only one convulsion can be seen with one episode of upper respiratory infection or UTI or etc. Then in complex febrile seizure, there will be a recurrence of seizure with the same illness within 24 hours. Then simple febrile convulsion will be generalized tonic-clonic whereas complex will be focal. So the differences are simple one is most common, complex is uncommon, convulsion lasts longer than 15 minutes, lasts less than 15 minutes, here it lasts longer than 15 minutes, one fit with one episode of illness, there will be recurrence within 24 hours with the same illness episode. Simple febrile convulsions is generalized tonic-clonic whereas complex is focal in nature. Coming to some of the risk factors for recurrent febrile seizure. As we have seen, recurrent febrile seizure can occur in 30 to 40% of cases. Then, one risk factor is if the child is younger than 18 months, there will be more chance of recurrence. Younger the child, higher the chance of recurrence. Then, shorter duration of fever before seizure. Height of fever. Lower the peak, higher the risk. Then positive family history and complex febrile seizure at onset. Coming to pathogenesis of febrile convulsion. The exact mechanism or pathophysiology behind this episode is not well known, but it is believed that due to temporary impairment of the balance between convulsant and anticonvulsant action of the brain or system of the brain, high temperature causes a temporary impairment in the balance between convulsant and anticonvulsant system within the brain. Hence, there is uncontrolled electrical resulting in convulsion or seizure. Some studies in children suggest that the cytokine network is activated and may have a role in the pathogenesis of febrile seizure. One proposed theory, as we have seen, imbalance in the convulsion and anticonvulsant system within the brain due to high fever. Second theory or second proponent is cytokine network activation associated with the fever. Then another idea is threshold level of anticonvulsant system in the genetically predisposed children is lower. That is, fever causes lowering of threshold of anticonvulsant system, so that less number of abnormal electrical discharges are enough to cause convulsion in these genetically predisposed children. Some other suggestions include endogenous pyrogen such as interleukin-1 increases neuronal excitability and cause seizures. High temperature causes release of endogenous pyrogen such as interleukin-1, which causes increased neuronal excitability resulting in seizure. Then hyperthermia or high fever induces alkalosis, which may result in seizure. Coming to diagnostic measures in febrile seizure. Usually, investigation or diagnostic interventions are not needed in simple febrile convulsion or seizure. But the complex febrile seizure may need blood glucose evaluation, serum electrolytes checking, LP and CSF analysis, neuroimaging, EEG, etc., depending on the condition of the child. Lumbar puncture is strongly recommended with the history of irritability, reduced feeding or lethargy, clinical signs of meningitis or encephalitis, and a systematically ill child. Also, if there is prolonged post-ictal or after seizure, altered consciousness, after a complex convulsion, or after pre-treatment with antibiotics. In this situation, LP must be undertaken to check for protein, sugar, and organism. Neuroimaging is considered if there is micro or microcephaly, neurocutaneous syndrome, pre-existing neurological defect, recurrent complex febrile seizures. Sometimes EEG is done, but it is not a guide for treatment. It does not predict recurrence and usually not indicated. Coming to management of febrile seizure. The first important thing is management of fever. In that case, identify the cause clearly. It will be usually the viral illness, especially identify upper respiratory tract, urinary tract, otitis media, etc. Meningitis must be excluded. Then infection screen can be done to exclude meningitis, which include blood culture, urine culture, LP for CSF culture if required. Treating fever is very important. It promotes comfort. Then it is not important in preventing seizure. Treating fever does not prevent seizure. Then, but fever is important. Control of fever is important to improve the comfort of the child. The methods to control fever are putting on fan, tepid sponging, light clothing, drugs like paracetamol, ibuprofen as per doctor's order. If the seizure occurs at home, parents can be taught to manage the child effectively by moving all dangers away, by providing left lateral position to the child. Then do not try to stop fitting by holding the child tightly. Do not put anything in the mouth of the child. Then loosen if there is any tight clothing. Wipe off the secretion from the mouth. No fluid or drug to be given orally during seizure. Note the time of seizure, that is the onset and stop of seizure. Do not get panic. If the seizure lasts longer than 5 to 10 minutes, immediately seek medical advice. Then, doctors may order diazepam 0.5 mg per kg rectally, also midazolam 0.5 mg per kg buccal, depending on the condition of the child. Coming to the prognosis, it is generally excellent. The risk of further febrile seizure, as we have seen already, it is 30%. Risk of epilepsy after single febrile convulsion is only 3%. There is no increased risk of death. Febrile convulsion, simple febrile convulsion does not lead to epilepsy, but complex febrile convulsion may lead to epilepsy, but it is only after 5 years. Then certain information has to be given to the parents regarding febrile convulsion. Like febrile convulsions are common in children, recurrence may be likely, brain damage and epilepsy are very rare. There is no evidence of death. They have to be taught what to do during the time of seizure, as we have seen earlier. If lasts longer than 10 minutes and not stopping, rectal diazepam. If there is previous febrile convulsion, and order for it from the doctor to give it or take the child to hospital. Also, it is better parents should be given information and advice sheet about febrile convulsion. Till now, we were discussing non-epileptic type of seizure, that is febrile convulsion. Now we will enter into epilepsies of childhood. Definition of epilepsy. Epilepsy is a chronic neurological disorder characterized by recurrent unprovoked seizures associated with abnormal, excessive or synchronous neuronal activity in the brain. It is a chronic neurological disorder. It is characterized by a recurrent unprovoked seizure, and it results from abnormal, excessive or synchronous neuronal activity in the brain. Look at this picture. This is the normal neuronal activity. Here you can see abnormal neuronal activity, which is excessive, very fast and synchronous. Synchronous in the sense occurring simultaneously on both sides of the cerebral hemisphere. About pathogenesis of epilepsy. Epilepsy is due to or it results from sudden, excessive, disorderly discharging neuron, as you can see here. In this type of neuron, there is increased glutamate level and decreased GABA level. Glutamate is nothing but an excitatory neuron which promotes generation of electrical signal. So there is increased risk of seizure, and GABA is nothing but inhibitory neurotransmitter, that is which decreases the production of electrical signal inside the brain. Hence, increased glutamate level and decreased GABA level will lead to abnormally discharging neurons. Other proposed mechanisms are: 1. Result of complex genetic mutation and environmental factors which can cause abnormal brain wiring or electrical system within the brain, imbalance in neurotransmitters or chemicals, abnormal connection which are made during repair of an injury within the brain. Second one, hypersensitive neuron that may result from hyperthermia, hypoxia, hypoglycemia, hyponatremia, or it can be epileptogenic focus. Then certain phases during sleep can cause sensory stimulation resulting in epilepsy. Here we will see some of the triggers that can cause. One is missed anti-epileptic medication, stress and anxiety, hormonal changes associated with menstruation, dehydration, lack of sleep and extreme fatigue, photosensitivity, drug abuse, certain medication and fever. So far we have covered definition and pathogenesis of epilepsy. Now we will see classification of epilepsy. Classification is by International League Against Epilepsy. It includes focal seizure and generalized seizure. First one, generalized epilepsy or generalized seizure. In this type, there will be abnormal discharges from both hemisphere, that is right and left. This is the abnormal discharges on one side. This is the abnormal electric discharges on the other side. So, all the leads in ECG, you can see abnormal electrical discharges. This is the abnormal electrical discharges. This is the normal EEG waves. Then, Generalized seizures is again classified into absent seizure, myoclonic seizure, tonic seizure, tonic-clonic and atonic seizure. First type of generalized seizure is absent seizure. In absent seizure, as you can see here, the child is doing or reading a paper, quietly sitting in a place. Suddenly, a staring look, that is, there is transient loss of consciousness, which is abrupt in its onset and it will terminate immediately. It is within a fraction of seconds. It will disappear. Then this can be typical or atypical. It is often due to hyperventilation. Second type is myoclonic seizure. You can see in this picture. Child is quietly sitting. Suddenly there is a brief, repetitive, jerky movements involving limbs, neck or trunk. Physiologically there is hiccup. That is myoclonic. Brief, repetitive, jerky movements in a group of muscle. That is limbs, neck or trunk. The next type of seizure is tonic seizure. That is increase in the tonicity of the muscles all over the body. You can see here. This is the tonicity or tonic type. There is generalized increased tone from head to foot. Next type of seizure is called tonic-clonic seizure. In this case, there is rhythmic contraction and jerking of a group of muscle of the limbs. The patient may become cyanosed and also there may be tongue biting and incontinence of urine or stool. This is the picture. This is the rhythmic contraction and jerking movements of a group of muscle involving the limbs. Next generalized seizure is called atonic. As the name indicates, there is transient loss of muscle tone all over the body so that the child may fall down to the ground. It may be combined with the myoclonic jerk. You can see here, the child is talking to somebody over the phone. Suddenly there is lack of tone or absence of tone and the child falls down. Till now we have discussed about generalized seizures with its 5 subtypes. Now we will see focal seizure. Opposite to generalized seizure which arises from both the hemisphere, focal seizures arise from one or part of the hemisphere. It involves only one hemisphere or part of the one hemisphere. It can arise from frontal lobe, which is called frontal seizure, parietal lobe, parietal seizure, occipital lobe, occipital seizure, and temporal lobe, temporal seizure. You can see here epileptic focus originating from one part of hemisphere. If it is frontal in origin, there will be motor abnormality. If it is temporal, there can be auditory or sensory abnormality. That is, smell may be altered or taste may be altered. In occipital seizure, there is positive or negative visual phenomena. And the parietal seizure, there will be contralateral altered sensation. Frontal lobe, there will be convulsion or motor phenomena. Then temporal lobe, there will be abnormal auditory or sensory phenomena or smell or taste may be altered. Occipital seizures, there will be positive or negative visual phenomena, and parietal lobe seizure, there will be contralateral or opposite side altered sensation. Some differences between generalized seizure and focal seizure. In generalized seizure, there is always loss of consciousness, no warning, symmetrical, bilateral, synchronous discharge on ECG. This is the generalized seizure. As we have seen already, there will be abnormal electrical discharges in both the hemispheres of the brain. So there is in EEG, there is abnormal discharges in all the leads. Whereas in focal seizures, abnormal discharges are seen in one hemisphere. So electrical discharges will be abnormal in those electrodes of an EEG. Then it may be preceded by an aura. It may or may not have changes in loss of consciousness. In generalized seizure, there is always loss of consciousness. In focal seizure, there may or may not have loss of consciousness. In generalized seizure, there is no aura, but here there is aura. In generalized seizure, abnormal discharges in both hemispheres. In focal seizure, abnormal discharges only in one or part of hemisphere. So, there will be abnormal ECG in those electrodes where there is abnormal electrical discharges. In generalized seizure, all the brain electrodes will be abnormal. Coming to diagnosis in epilepsy, it is primarily diagnosed by detailed history from the child, then also by the history explained by child and eye witnesses. Then if there is video available, diagnosis will be easy. Then in some cases there will be SIN markers of neurocutaneous syndrome or neurological abnormalities. The investigation usually done in cases of epilepsy include EEG. It is usually done to detect structural abnormality. Also, as we have seen earlier, abnormal EEG, there can be sharp waves or spike waves. Additional technique in the diagnosis of childhood epilepsy include sleep-deprived record, 24-hour ambulatory EEG, video telemetry, and subdural electrodes prior to surgery. The imaging studies that can be helpful in the diagnosis are structural scan including MRI and CT scan. It can identify tumors, vascular lesion, and sclerotic areas in the brain. Coming to functional scan, it is the PET or SPECT. It suggests focal seizures and also we can see abnormal areas of metabolism. Epilepsy syndromes. We will see two common epileptic syndrome in children. One is West syndrome. West syndrome occurs 4 to 6 months old infants. There will be violent flexor spasm of head, trunk and limbs and extension of arms. Hence it is called a salam spasm. Flexion of the head, upper limbs and lower limbs. It will be followed by extension. Then EEG shows hypsarrhythmia. This is the normal EEG where you can see clearly identifiable pattern or shape of EEG waves. Then in case of West syndrome or infantile spasm, the EEG will be very chaotic and disorganized, where we cannot see any shape or we cannot identify any particular form of any wave in EEG. Hence it is called a hypsarrhythmia. Another common type of epilepsy syndrome is benign epilepsy with centrotemporal spikes or BETS. Age of onset 4 to 10 years. There will be clonic seizures in sleep. Also abnormal feelings in tongue and face. Also focal sharp waves in EEG. It is benign, so it is important to recognize for treatment. Coming to one common complication of epilepsy in children, that is status epilepticus. It occurs, or we say there is status when a seizure lasts longer than 30 minutes or when there is seizure repeated within 30 minutes without recovery of consciousness in between. Coming to general management of children with seizure. It is important to manage the airway, breathing and circulation. Then the blood glucose has to be checked. If it is less than 30 millimole per liter, IV glucose needs to be administered and it has to be rechecked again. After stabilizing airway breathing and checking the glucose, the child has to be given diazepam 0.5 mg per kg rectally or lorazepam 0.1 mg per kg IV or midazolam 0.5 mg per kg buccal. If there is no response within 10 minutes, there can be paraldehyde 0.4 ml per kg per rectal can be given. followed by phenytoin 18 mg per kg IV over 20 minutes or phenobarbital 15 mg per kg if on oral phenytoin. If still no response, rapid sequence induction with the thiopentone, which is a muscle relaxant, mechanical ventilation and transfer to PICU. For the treatment goals in epilepsy, the epilepsy management aims three important goals to achieve. They are: help the person with epilepsy to lead a full and productive life, tailor treatment to needs of individual or special population, eliminate seizures without producing side effects. These are the three goals of epilepsy management. What happens if epilepsy is not treated? Seizures can be potentially life-threatening with brain failure, heart and lung failure, trauma and accidents. Seizure can be potentially life-threatening. Then there can be sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. Even subtle seizures can cause small damage in the brain which cannot be recovered. Long-term problems like fall in IQ, depression, suicide, social problem or quality of life can be changed if epilepsy is not treated. Some of the factors that affect epilepsy management or drug selection are age and gender, seizure frequency, medication side effect, presence of comorbidities or other illnesses in the patient, and the underlying pathology. Also, the treatment varies in epilepsy syndrome and the different type of seizures. Coming to the principles of anti-epileptic drug selection or AED selection. AEDs are the drug of choice for control of seizure. While selecting an AED, certain principles has to be managed. First one, correct diagnosis of type of epilepsy influences treatment, prognosis and genetic counseling. So, it is very important to advise parents that always note the type of seizure or the progression of seizure because each drug is different for each type of seizure. Another principle is fit to fit principle. That is, one best drug to fit the fit or convulsion, fit the patient. One best drug is selected that fit the fit and fit the patient. Usually there is monotherapy, only one drug is given to the patient to control the seizure. Third principle, use the least expensive anti-epileptic drug or AED. Then prefer AED which can be taken once in a day and avoid maximum the drug that needs to be administered twice or thrice in a day. Almost all AED never need QID dosing. Another important principle to consider, start with one AED and push the dose to control the seizure. Withdraw AED that are not effective. Then never a patient will have more than 3 AEDs. Next principle to consider for treatment is don't use combination medication, that is phenytoin with phenobarbital for example. There is no proof that multiple AEDs are synergistic in the treatment of epilepsy. Polypharmacy is expensive or multiple drug use is expensive. Also, it increases the side effect and increases the complexity of adjusting the dose. Coming to drugs that can be used in different type of seizures. In partial seizure, oxycarbazepine, carbamazepine, phenytoin, phenobarbital, levetiracetam, lamotrigine, topiramate, lacosamide and soniazamide can be used considering the various factors. If the child has absent seizure, other drugs like ethosuximide, valproic acid or lamotrigine can be used. If tonic-clonic seizure, phenytoin, valproic acid, carbamazepine, topiramate, levetiracetam, lamotrigine and soniazamide can be effective. In case of myoclonic or atonic seizures, clonazepam, lamotrigine, levetiracetam are the drugs of choice. If the child has infantile spasm or West syndrome, ACTH, Topamax, zonisamide and valproic acid will be effective. The drug selection depends on various factors considering and also using the principles of epileptic management or seizure management. Here is the end of this video. Thanks for your patient listening.